Hey, what's up? Random Anime Reviewer here, and this week we are back at it with Random Anime Review number 4. This week we have Evil or Live, and you might have noticed the words are each other backwards, which I thought was super cool. Like maybe people could have this dichotomy of living free lives or be evil and die, I guess. And you have to make some sort of choice between them, so I thought it had some thematic potential. This anime has an interesting premise featuring a dystopian society which has a voluntary internet addiction treatment facility. The facility is more akin to a prison and completely corrupt. The voluntary part is more the decision of the parents, and the teenagers sent to the school are hazed upon arrival to ensure they will follow orders and to take them off their internet addiction. Something that I found really unique about Evil or Live was that it's based off a Chinese manhwa, which I've actually never seen or heard before, and I thought that was pretty interesting. With that, let's get right into the review. Hit 'em with the intro. Set in a world with an unprecedented rate of internet addiction, Evil or Live starts out with a statement. It doesn't seem to be too far off where we are today, but I digress. As the addiction, like all addictions, begins not to only affect the lives of the addicts, but those who care for them, it is addressed by the military-esque boarding school. And yes, it's an anime, so there's something weird about the school. And that's the fact that it's stupid corrupt. I don't mean like really corrupt, I mean like there's no point for being corrupt at all, period. No motivation that makes any sense. The school is more of a torture center than a rehabilitation one. Pride in so-called treatment of rigorous physical and mental abuse meant to build willpower only intensifies the escape tendencies of the students toward their internet addictions. Thrown into the dysfunctional school as a new student is Hibiki, our main character, a previously normal student who was unable to achieve his goals and vented his frustrations through gaming. His attempts to escape are met with harsh punishments, pushing him to the edge of his psyche. Relentlessly beaten from the first day as part of the initiation by the head instructor makes him lose all hope until a brave Shin decides to save him on a few conditions. This saves Hibiki from the head instructor. The head instructor is someone who torments himself because of his past sins, and instead of proceeding to receive help, he instead decides to become a sub to the daughter of his previous work colleague and headmistress, weird name, of the school, who literally whips him into shape. This is the punishment he feels he needs in a way to atone for his past sins. He makes it his mission to make the kids in the school mentally and physically tough enough so that they never repeat his mistakes. As payment for saving Hibiki from the headmaster, Shin, an odd character with unclear motives, makes Hibiki commit to being his slave and to do any and all of his bidding in exchange for protection, offering him a special time with any girl at the school he wants should Hibiki accept, which he does. Shin seemingly effortlessly is able to contrive a situation that occurs and shows ominous predictive ability throughout the anime. So, fulfilling his part of the deal, Hibiki picks Shiori, a girl he knew from middle school conveniently, and is surprised that she is in the school for people with internet addiction. Shin offers Shiori a phone in exchange to make Hibiki a man, and she's apparently willing to do anything for messaging technology, but her body cannot comply with her wishes due to her past. By now, you might be thinking, this seems oddly sexual, but may have an interesting premise, and you would be absolutely correct. There may have been potential for this anime since it comes from a Chinese perspective. The original Chinese title directly translates to the ideal restricted zone, which is very different from Evil or Live. This is a change I do not understand as actually having significance. There has been a sharp rise in internet addiction in China, and they are proactively fighting to keep it in check, even making it a clinical disorder. Upon further research, I found that these schools in principle are not too different from the military style school in the anime. The inspiration for this anime became quite clear to me as I read more and more articles citing the violence upon teenage boys and sometimes girls treated as if they have no dignity or autonomy. There are reports of deaths at these sites. I was shocked, and the more I read, the more claims of terrible rehab centers arose. Watching the anime prior to this knowledge that it is actually real, I felt like there was no real logical explanation for the whole setting other than something contrived in the sense to make a story. But this anime is actually an expose on the rehab centers in China. It didn't take much time to find the information. It was as simple as typing internet addictions in China and Google searching. I'll give you a moment to fact check me on that one. Oh, and while you're at it, I have another magic trick where I will turn the like button blue the moment you click it. So try that out too if you want. It's pretty cool. I highly recommend it. Anyway, after you did none of that, let's continue on to the meat and potatoes of this anime. Starting with the animation, it is horrendous. Like, I was in pain watching the lifeless characters in constant panning shots in every single direction for minutes. It was painful. Terrible. Also, they attempt to have fights, but they're also just bottom line terrible. And it isn't like funny terrible where like all the actions and faces are off. They just are bad, period. There are occasional, and I mean maybe 2 times, where I thought that they had put a little bit of effort into the animation, but that could just be how great it looked relative to the rest of the scenes. Soundtrack, honestly, might as well have not existed either, like not memorable at all. The story itself gets another fail. It attempts to get sympathy for the characters through backstories to explain their current character flaws and problems. Each character's flashbacks were disappointing at best. Every time we were told exactly why the characters are the way they are instead of leaving it told through the narrative, letting us learn for ourselves and make our own deductions. They waste episodes at the beginning between Hibiki and Shiori, even though it's a highly cringy situation. No one could sit through that comfortably at all, and there was just no point to it. Completely useless at progressing the plot. The only thing it did was make one funny scene in the entire hour that they decided to do this segment. As for the themes of obviously similarly disappointing nature, they never make any points other than vague ones such as power results in a following, something about those with ambitions may use unethical actions to achieve their goals. If you do evil things, you deserve to accept a death, even though if it was for others. Maybe. I don't know. I'm pulling at straws here. It felt like no substance at all for this anime. Basically, the only thing that was done right was that they were surprisingly accurate about the internet addiction rehabilitation sites, surprisingly so, and they actually weren't using hyperbole or over dramatizing it. It's the truth, and it's actually how it is. Well, I mean, like they embellish a little, but like for the most part, anime wise, that's pretty close to how it actually is. Now, I really believe that they had something different, which had so much potential, Shawshank Redemption level potential, with the possibility of bringing attention to a highly relevant and current local problem. And they squandered it with terrible animation and story writing. I expected more. Overall, the bright spots maybe lasted a minute cumulatively, making Evil or Live a light 3. And that, I feel, is almost generous, but they do make at least some right calls overall. And with that, we've reached another conclusion of a random anime review. Evil or Live was a disappointing one for me. I expected a lot better, and I really thought it had potential. If you've watched it, let me know in the comments what you think. Basically, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. This is Random Anime Reviewer signing off. Zoop!